Hello everyone, welcome back to the Onvermel report. Today I just want to do a quick little video about, Turaga, and how, honestly speaking, I don't think that the Bionicle community has truly had enough Turaga MOCs. Like, I see a fair bit of MOCs about, the original 6 or Turaga Doom, and the occasional Lecon, but like, something like Jovan I rarely ever see. And honestly, LEGO didn't really create very many Turaga sets outside of the original 6 using this Technic build, which we all know and love with the beautiful which, fun fact, Turaga Neo was actually my first Bionicle set. When they had, Turaga Doom using essentially just the Metromatoran body with slightly longer limbs, which was a nice little change to make him stand out a little bit, and he didn't even have a staff. I just gave him that myself. And then technically this one isn't even technically Turaga Lecon. It was just canonized by Greg long after it actually was released. So we have no idea if the designers actually intended this to be Turaga Lecon, but let's be honest, it probably was, but it was never actually officially released as a Turaga, technically, quote unquote. But overall, stay put, buddy, stay put. But overall, I just kind of feel like Turagas are something that have been neglected in the Bionicle community. Like, yes, I've seen some amazing Turaga MOCs and such from them, and some really great Turaga Doom with Nivok. But overall, it's like when it comes down to custom characters or builds or OCs for people, I almost never see Turagas now, in fairness, who really wants to be a Turaga as their, OC overall. I guess in the greater mocking community, we just don't see a ton of Turaga models. So what I'm going to show today is basically the ones I've built, which I actually have more than I remember. So we're just going to move these guys out of the way because we don't need them in shot anymore. Actually, my first ones I ever built custom models were just based on this one, which I don't have any more built like that. I'm actually going to throw up one screen of my first 2, and they've gone through a fair bit of changes. So really you can see that they do just look like a standard Turaga body with some unique colors because, let's be honest, those are most of the parts I had to work with. Now, since then, I have made some newer Turaga MOCs. One of the most of them do use the same body. One of the older ones I have, actually I guess I will start with my own version of Turaga Doom. So this is Turaga Doom, my version of him, which, okay, he's supposed to have orange eyes, never mind. I lost something that was the top of his staff. I don't remember what was there, but probably like a crystal, and those are mismatching. Basically using the same limbs, but just making him more hunched and old looking, which is pretty much my main goal. Pretty much just a lot of sockets with a few Technic pieces holding together. And this is basically one of my 2 standard Turaga bodies. Because after I designed him, I did build a couple others with his body. So I have this Turaga of Earth using this recolor of Turaga Matau staff, which I thought was nice because it's like the only, I believe, Turaga staff other than in Niwa's that came with the Borgfod. I got a recolor. And the fact that it's one that's like you can use for a very different one, which works well, I think, for a Turaga of Earth. So very similar build style, which mostly really just like a bunch of Technic holding on the sockets with this just sliding in front of there. Although the head actually of this guy, because I want to make him hunched, is actually just an axle jammed into that hole. So we got him who's got these really short legs, so even shorter than Turaga Doom, as well as my first Turaga of Gravity. Turaga, I believe Hinluma was the name I called him, which he's a very wise Turaga. And as wise Turaga once says, you got to make it in purple. Now I do need to repaint this mask because a lot of the paint is chipped off. But he was the first Turaga of Gravity made, which also for me, I got to have at least several Turaga of Gravity using the purple, which is why I use the black board Nuvok calls shield for him because, gravity element. So this one uses the same body. He actually originally had a Void Nui Matoran body, but I updated it to this to, 1, use more purple, and 2, just be a little more unique. I did use these for his legs. 1, to be more purple. 2, I like the aesthetic of the Turaga limbs, so be able to get that into a more posable Turaga I really like. He's also like one of the few Bionicles that actually doesn't use a proper head. but helps make it more hunched without having to go the route this guy did. So that's that style. Another one I did, which was actually my brother's X style, which is essentially an upscale Turaga body with Matamatorn legs, but Turaga Doom's arms. So you get a very... Now, there's a lot more hunched version than the ones he made, and yes, this Turaga has glasses and is based on the classic space theme, because I have a whole wave of characters all based on different themes of, space from the 80s and 90s. And the Turaga had to be classic space. But it's a little floppy. Like I said, it was my brother's design, so this has a lot of charm. And, of course, a lot of customization. I know he has a whole set of Turaga using this build. But one nice thing about it is it just uses these feet, which, who doesn't like a good, Matamatorn feet? But no, he's fun. But, of course, I always prefer my own styles over anyone else's, so... Which brings us to the main style I have, which is this, which, by the way, is a remake of Turaga Ninawa, which you saw the picture of earlier. So, pretty much using a bit more technique to get the full body rather than the sockets making it. And as you can see, I'm using all the Turaga limbs as the actual limbs for the character, because one, I just like the aesthetic. You still get pretty posable arms with the fingers. Legs, you get less posability, but you get a decent range of motion, as well as a waist articulation. So, you get, and of course that limited head articulation depending on how long you have the neck or neck stock in there. So, yeah, that's the Turaga Ninawa. I did the same for Turaga Important, the other one that I had showed a picture of earlier. So Turaga Plan Control, which was really nice because Lego's done a lot of these colors and a lot of options, especially the turquoise colored in one of his scopes there. He's had both of these have had the same staff piece they've had ever since the beginning for shape-wise. Now, one thing I did do with actually him, with these balls, is that these are actually broken galley mata legs. I have so many of them that I was like, you know what? You can snap them off and get baby blue balls, which, yes, maybe is maybe not purist, but that I have so many of them and they snap off so easily. And honestly, it makes the connection point actually here a lot sturdier than you would with Ninawas with the axles here, which also the red might bleed in. So I actually really like the fact that I use these broken ones, because one, the clutch is better, the color's better, and you don't get bleed through of a different color, which sometimes you might like. But Turaga Important I just really like as a Turaga. I think he's, especially with all his plant things, and I tried using these plants to kind of make it look like he's got the vestments that the Turaga have in Masquelite, but I never really got to the point of doing anything fancier, because at this scale it's kind of hard to have something that's there but not too cumbersome. And I've tried a few different designs with them. But yeah, that's Turaga Important, probably my most important Turaga I have. And yes, his name is a joke on the word important, because he's the most important person in the village. Okay, it was a while ago. I was a teenager when I named him, okay? Go easy on me. Which Turaga Ninawa and him are both basically from the same island and story that I have with myself, Onvermel, and my team. So basically part of my main story. I mean, technically every Bionicle I make that isn't a canon character are technically all part of the same story, but they're part of the main island. We also have, I did a violet purple gravity. So this is a hand-painted mask that I tried getting the color match to match the old violet Technic as best as I could. He did not want to focus on you. I think there's too many people in the background, so let's move them, see if they'll like to focus on him a bit better. There we go. So again, using the standard Turaga arms for the limbs. Getting purple in the feet, as much in the back, and I actually like the use of this because it actually goes all the way through the hand. So nice little guy. He does have a fairly majorly different design body than these. Like the upper body's similar, but the lower legs are similar to Turaga and Luma, so he's kind of a mix between a few of the others. But again, I believe Turaga Nakota. Nakota is the name I give him. I think it's actually a name of a town here in my home province. Or I saw the name somewhere, I don't remember. So, really like him. Now, moving into the last two Turaga, the nice thing about if you want to have this aesthetic of limbs, but you want a little bit more posability, you can use these clicky hinges. You get the same thin sort of limb, but with posability. And, bonus, you get them in purple. The color selection of these hinges is a lot less than a lot of other pieces, but you still get enough. You get like green, you can get tan, purple. I think there might be a set with like a red hinge, but even just like with dark grays, light grays, and such. So this is a third-party mask. So anyways, here I'm sorry. This is a third-party mask. If anyone has any questions about that, I have a video looking at some third-party masks. I actually really like how the aesthetic of this mask goes with these pieces, because I just think the angling triangle kindness fits very well. And also it does look like he's got the vestments on with these, which, and also being a chance to use the limited purple, new purple Technic pieces it has. And Lego has made with purple balls, so you got those. So he does have a fair bit of range. And speaking of what I said about liking the design of the Madame Matoran feet, is that using these Throwbot feet with these little bushing-like pieces, they can just tuck in there. And because the back is slightly angled, you can kind of get them to stand up usually pretty easy. It's a little wobbly, but look at normally you can stand up pretty easy. You got these nice kind of grippy toes, which these are non-production. Lego never actually produced these in purple, but I found a Bricklink seller who's got a ton of them. I think go to Bricklink and you still find someone selling a bunch of these, so they're not really that expensive, and I think I picked up like 30. Never know when you need them. And again, it's any more new purple parts you can get is always a good option. So I don't remember his name. I know he has a name, but just the fact that I can get, you got purple balls, the hinges. You actually get he's actually very new purple with pretty good posability, which is always happy. Weirdly enough, he doesn't actually have any neck posability because I just have that right now. I could probably design something a little bit better. And then lastly, and this was more just because I had built a interpretation of Turaga Greg. So Greg Firsty, the essentially main writer for Bionicle and story creative post its cancellation. When he was let go from Lego, I kind of made this Turaga as a tribute to him, and I was like, what mask works better for Turaga Greg than the mask of translation, which as a storyteller, I think it's probably one that was fitting, which just by happenstance led to the color I made him, which for me, my first Bionicle set being a Turaga Stone, I really wanted to reference basically that. Oh yeah, there's another Turaga staff in a basic color. No, that fell off again. See what I mean about these axles? They look to pop out. So he's got the same sort of body, almost the exact same body as Turaga Ninawa and Important. But I really like him. You know, like I do like the frail, spindly look of a Turaga, which is something that these ones did quite well, especially compared to like Turaga Doom, who just looks way more buff and tough, which kind of maybe works for him a little bit. So yeah, those are my Turaga MOCs. You know, nothing really crazy, but just, I don't know, I think just building a little MOC is really fun. And one of the challenges I actually like doing in most cases is trying to use actual noble masks. For a while, you had a hand-painted Kirop mask, which once I got a better quality, I also swapped it out. But anytime that there's a noble mask I can use, it's in a cool color, I really want to use it, which actually I think about it, I got two with a Komau, two with a Rao, and two with Matatu. I should really change his mask. This one I can't because I need the eyes. That's my only new purple one. that's Greg, and that's painted. So he's really the only option I can actually change without, because this is canonical to her story. So he's literally nobody I can change that. And I think, I don't know, Mask of Truth is always a good option for Turaga. It's very wise and noble. So yeah, tell me what you think, and I actually encourage people to build Turaga MOCs. Don't just build a Toa or a Skaki. Build Matorn, build Turaga, build out the world. I don't know. For me, building characters is more important than building impressive MOCs, which is why you might see a lot of my stuff being more maybe basic or rudimentary compared to a lot of other more well-known Bionicle mockists, or even people on YouTube. But like I said, I'm here to build characters and fill out a world. And like I said, I really suggest, and I think just building Turaga as like a little small MOC, you don't have to spend a lot of time, and really just challenging yourself, because they're so much smaller, you got limited with colors you can use, or just the fact that they're small, how many different ways you can design a Turaga. I mean, look at Lego. They went from this, a fully Technic build, to like a fully, almost no standard Technic part outside of like the pins and technically that, which I associate with Turaga hands, which is kind of ironic, to this monstrosity. So even Lego has so many variety of Turaga builds. So like I said, I highly encourage it. But anyways, thanks for watching. I have been your host, Onvermel, and I'm retiring from the night.